Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Mystic podcast, and I'm your host Rahul N. Singh. Thank you for taking out the time today to either watch or listen to this podcast episode. If you would like to support the Bearded Mystic podcast, you can sign up to our Patreon page. Details are in the show notes and video description below. Also, every Saturday there is a free meditation class that I hold via Zoom. If you would like to join, you can find the details in the show notes and video description below. Last month, as you know, we looked at the teachings of the great mystic J. Krishnamurti. And today we will be exploring the teachings of the founder of Sikhism, which is Guru Nanak Dev Ji. We're going to be looking specifically at the Mool Mantar from the JapJi Sahib. If you would like to let me know what you think about this episode, write down your comments on the YouTube video, or you can leave a review on www.thebeardedmysticpodcast.com. So let's have a look. So, the Mool Mantra begins with Ik Onkar. Ik means oneness in this context of what Guru Nanak Dev Ji wants to portray. The reason for this was he was establishing that Hindus really follow the one supreme Brahman, and the Muslims follow the same God that they refer to as Allah. So he wanted to get rid of this duality that was there. He wanted to establish that there is just this one. There's no need to call them separate or to see that there is a difference there. He wanted to emphasize that they're not separate gods, which if people really understood, they would be able to practice their own religion in their own right without any conflict. The Ong aspect in Ik Onkar is actually inspired from the Sanskrit word Om. And as we know, that word represents Brahman or Parbrahm, and God means formless. So this supreme reality is formless, therefore establishing already that the ultimate reality that people refer to as God is formless. It has no image, it has no shape, it cannot be defined in any way. Even giving it a name doesn't do justice. Therefore, when Ik Onkar is said, it's not said as in a name per se, but more as a principle that exists, that underlies all existence. Every time you listen to any Gurbani or from the Guru Granth Sahib Ji, any verse, any line, it must always come back to the Mool Mantra, always come back to Ik Onkar. Ik Onkar meaning if it's without form. In this aspect, this reality, it has no gender either. It is neither masculine nor feminine. This also shows that Guru Nanak Dev Ji's understanding was that Brahman is Nirgun, and he was part of the Nirgun Bhakti movement. It is without attribute, shape, form or image. In essence, Ik Onkar simply can mean that formless oneness. And this is what it really implies. If we can understand the whole Guru Granth Sahib Ji from this principle, then we can understand the deeper truths that are in there. But if we see that Ik Onkar is different to Om, or is different to Brahman, or is different to Allah, or to God, then we have failed to understand the deeper message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. For me, Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a non-dualist. He understood the essence of non-duality. And it is just seen in the poems that are presented in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had incredible insight into the nature of human beings. This level of humility and humanity that was within him. And then also from the rest of the 9 gurus as well. This was really the essence of their teachings. And even today, one of the most reliable people in the world, I would say, is those that are from a Sikhi background. They are always looking to help other people, always looking to be there for people. We see them whenever there is a crisis anywhere, they are there to help others. Another aspect is that they have their community kitchens open 24/7 in some places. This just shows their level of commitment to the teachings of the Guru. And I think that's amazing. I think that's something to really applaud. But it comes back to this same principle that they see this Ik Onkar within everybody, and they see it within everything. Every aspect of creation has this oneness. So that's the beauty of this. Then it carries on to Satnam. So Sat, as we know, means true or the truth, and Nam means name. So the name is based on the ultimate reality. And how is that? It is completely true because it is changeless. The name doesn't change in essence because it is the same oneness. So Sat Nam, the Nam meaning Ik Onkar, again meaning Brahman or reality. Not that you have to name it in such a way, but it's the truest of true names. You know, it goes back to the whole Tao Te Ching when we say the Tao that can be named is not the Tao. Same thing here. When we give a name to this Onkar, which is a principle, let's understand this. It's not a name. It's a description to help us attain to that lofty height. Therefore, if it did give a name, it would be subject to an object, and this one cannot be an object at all. It's the truth. It is changeless. We know from our Bhagavad Gita podcast episodes that Brahman is Sat. It is changeless, self-existent. It has no beginning. It has no end. However, a Sat is something that is always changing and subject to modification. Then the next line is Karta Puruk Nirbhau Nirvair Akar Murat Ajuni Sebang Satguru Prasad. So we'll break that down. So in my opinion, if you can just remember Ik Onkar Satnam, if you can remember that, that is enough. Guru Nanak Dev Ji really emphasizes these things in all of his poetry. It's an expression from that. It's an extension from that. It's not something to just say or to read or to listen to. It's something to really contemplate on within. Contemplation is key here. So let's look at Karta Puruk, which means creative principle manifested. So what we understand here is that this formless oneness is a creative principle. It is suffused within the cosmos. Whatever we see, this whole cosmos is this one formless. This whole cosmos is this formless oneness. Within all forms, we are to perceive this formless oneness as that is the creative principle. Only something that is formless can have forms appear from it. Forms can give rise to form, but the thing is always reliant on something. With the formless, there is nothing to rely upon. The formless can create or destroy. It is beyond those descriptions. And it is manifested, meaning that we see it manifested as the cosmos, as the universe. We see it everywhere. What Guru Nanak Dev Ji intuited, which is really beautiful, is because here he is saying that this formless is also manifested in this world. See it and perceive it everywhere as oneness. Don't divide it in any way. This is an incredible insight by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and one that really we need to understand. By seeing the formless, by seeing that oneness in everything, we get a natural respect towards others. We are naturally humble. We are naturally kind. We are naturally content. We are naturally full of humanity. This is what Guru Nanak Dev Ji is implying here. And then we go on to Nirbhau, without fear. How can this formless oneness have any fear when it is the only thing in existence? All manifestations are from this one, so why should it fear anything? There is no other, so there is going to be no aspect of fear. Fear is there because there is conflict, there is separation. But here, how can one even experience fear? It's impossible because we see all as one. Friend or foe, friend or enemy, it doesn't matter. The thing is, we do not fear anybody. And therefore, the next line in a minute, we will go into that, which is nirvair, which means without enmity. But before that, with nirbhau, we have to remember that this can be related to Satchit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. And how can this one ever be in fear because it's always in bliss? How can consciousness ever feel fear or awareness feel fear? It cannot, because it's absorbed in bliss. It's absorbed in itself. Therefore, there is no need to fear. Now, when it comes to nirvair, without enmity, if there is only oneness, where is the other to even hate or despise? Once we understand that we are this one, we cannot hate at all. Who are we to have enmity towards? Who are we to despise? Nobody. How can we despise anybody? This oneness is full of love because it is full of bliss. Whenever we feel ecstasy, we want to hug the world. We feel happy in the world. Therefore, we feel content. We feel like we can embrace the world. And this is the difference between someone who lives without enmity and without fear. They're able to live a much more freer life than someone who is within conflict or who knee deep in conflict. Akar Murat, which means timeless form of the witness. As the observer, the Sakshi, the witness, it is beyond time. Therefore, it cannot be destroyed. The form is not physical in any sense or even subtle, but it is that awareness that we call Sakshi. The witness has always been here. It is beyond time. Therefore, it will remain forever. So this is what we know about the Akal Murat. Akal meaning beyond time. Ajuni Sebung, beyond birth and self-existent. Guru Nanak Ji emphasizes that this formless oneness has always been here. It has never not existed. It is beyond birth, therefore it is beyond death. And Sebung means self-existent. It doesn't need anything for its existence. Nothing powers its existence other than its own self. We have the appearance of many forms in this existence, but it is only truly this formless oneness that exists, that is here, that is right now. And this is the beauty of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message. Very clear, very concise, very to the point. Guru Prasad, the grace of the Guru. Only with the Guru's grace can this truth of our own reality be known. The Guru takes us from ignorance and brings us to the reality of who we are. We are roaming in the dark, and the Guru is the one that turns on our inner light, and we finally see things from the Sakshi, from the witness. The only way we can understand this is when we accept intellectually that there is only the formless oneness. So there has to be a fundamental acceptance of this one message. As now we can understand and live as this formless oneness, we now see the magnificence of this one. We do not see it through the lens of the ego. We see everything as magnificent. We internalize this realization and expand it everywhere. Wherever you look, the offering of seeing this formless oneness is there. It's always going to be there for you. And this is the grace of the Guru. The grace of the Guru is your realization of this truth. Your realization of who you are. The realization of what's going to happen to you when you die. The realization of how temporary life is. The realization of how temporary wealth and material possessions are. All these things are helped by the Guru. The Guru takes it on. The Guru doesn't take our money, doesn't take our possessions in any way, or even our intellect. What the Guru's grace is just a realization of who we really are, and that is it. Nothing more, nothing less. Then Ad Such, this formless oneness is the truth beyond the beginning. This is also establishing that we understand that Ad may mean beginning, but if we understand that this is self-existent and isn't born, therefore it is the truth beyond the beginning. So beyond what we think is the beginning of time. Jugad as such, primordial truth. This has always been the truth. There's never been a time when this has never existed. And as far as we know in terms of history, this formless oneness was there and beyond that too. Then Hebi such. The formless oneness is the truth here and now. Again, getting us to the directness of realization. This shows how this formless oneness is present right now in this very room, in the very room that you're in, or in the very place that you're in. It is accessible right here. You do not need to do any practice. You can access this inner oneness, this formless oneness always. It's always there. We don't need to fool ourselves to think that this truth is somewhere far or somewhere over there. We don't need the false idea that the truth was easily understood in the past compared to today. If the truth has always been, then its acceptance and how it has been accepted has been the same. It has not differed in any way. Therefore, we can understand here that we don't need to say, oh, in the past it was a lot easier to be spiritual. No, if you make the right choices today, we can be spiritual as well. So there's no reason why we cannot achieve that. This reality of the formless oneness can be realized as what we are, right here and right now. And then Nanak also be such. O Nanak, this formless oneness is forever true. There will never be a time when this formless oneness will go. It covers all time and the timeless. Therefore, this is our real existence. This such is what we are. This Naam is what we are. It is only when we offer our ego to the Guru, to the light of the wisdom, that our darkness of duality is eliminated and we understand this non-dual Ik Onkar. And this is the Mool Mantra. If there's anything you need to remember of the JapJi Sahib, is this. And this will always bring you back to the realization of who you really are. Because this isn't about some God up there or out there. It's about what is within you. And this is something we have to understand with a lot of clarity. Now, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has numerous poems, and maybe one day we'll go through some of those poems and even elaborate more on the JapJi Sahib. And if you do want me to elaborate more on the JapJi Sahib, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can look at how we can do that, maybe through Patreon as an extra content. This is something we can explore even further. There is a lot to even unpack here with the JapJi Sahib, especially with the Mool Mantra. But the one thing you need to remember is Ik Onkar. The more you remember Ik Onkar, the more you will be in that radiant bliss, the more you will be connected to the divine, the more you understand the principle of Om that is beyond those three states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. It is that fourth state, that Turiya state, that state where it is beyond all known time. It is beautiful beyond measure, and this can be attained by anybody. All you need is a sincere heart, and this is what Guru Nanak Dev Ji's whole message is that be a seeker and be a sincere one at that. There's no need to claim that you have achieved something if you have not. Just be content of where you are. Today, I don't think I'm realized, and I'm working towards it. I'm happy in the walking towards it. There's so much to enjoy about the journey. Be a seeker. And the beauty of the gurus, they have one quality, not just the Sikh gurus, but gurus in general, the genuine ones, of course, that they always never say that they have reached somewhere. They will always be very humble. And even if they do mention their experience, you know that they're doing it so you can be helped, so you can be inspired, so you can continue on this path towards self-realization. The whole point of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message was for self-realization, for society to uplift itself, to get rid of the caste system. Because how can somebody, when they are this formless oneness, have a caste at all? How can they have any deep longing for a desire? They don't. They simply are. They simply be. A lot to contemplate upon. A lot to understand that this truth was beyond time. It was timeless itself. It's self-existent. It doesn't rely upon anyone's existence. Although Guru Nanak Dev Ji uses the word Ik Onkar, let us not be confused that it is talking about that same Om, but in a different way. The whole point is to go beyond the words, but to go towards the meaning of the words and to rest in that being. Until we rest in that being, we will not move forward in our spirituality. This is the end of the episode. A new episode is uploaded every Sunday. You can follow me on social media to keep getting updates. Details are in the show notes and video description below. If you would like to support the Bearded Mystic podcast, there is a number of ways to do so. Like I mentioned earlier, you can utilize the Patreon to get more content. And again, the link tree will have those details. Please rate and review the podcast. If you have any reviews that you would like to post, you can do so on my website, www.thebeardedmysticpodcast.com. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. See you soon. And we'll end with the Shanti Mantra again. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.